What is going on, guys? It's Dan here from the Sanctum squad. Now, I know the last few profiles that I've put on the channel have been like a little bit more like unserious, like casual decks. But you know, Ahmed and Ryan doing as well as they did at the regionals has made me think, you know, I need to probably up my game a little bit. So I've been testing a lot of decks over the last couple of days, and I've decided to just go back to the deck that I know the best, that being Yubel. I've taken this list to a couple of locals and done pretty well with it. Came second at the Alliance Insight Sneak Peek, only losing to Ahmed. So yeah, let's just get into the profile. I think a lot of people have forgotten about this deck just because obviously it was really prominent in the Snake Eye format, but it can still do a lot of things here. So just to start off, we'll go with just the Yubel cards. Samsara Lotus is one of the best one card starters in the game. This just does absolutely everything if it goes uninterrupted. And then we've got the Yubel names. I am still playing the 2 Spirit just because like having one in hand sometimes is okay. And if you do play one, some of the combo lines are just very strange. And then you've got the Yubel and the Terror Incarnate. This is also cuttable. It does allow for a little bit of extra extension with Nightmare Throne, but you can cut this if you want to. I completely understand why some players do. And then just for some more extension with the Yubel engine, we've got 2 Grave Squirmers. A lot of people only play one of this, but to be honest, this card is all. I've always looked at this card like it's a Shivara kind of card. And in Unchained, where that that is Shivara's deck, you want to see it in your hand as soon as possible. And opening this, it can just get you into extension where you've been hand trapped and things like that. Yeah, it's just an incredible card. And then just for the like honorary Yubel starters and the honorary Yubel extender, we've got Dark Beckoning Beast and Shivara. I have a very love-hate relationship with this card because it does play very hard into things like Droll and Veiler, but because of obviously the supplementary engine that we're playing in this deck, it just goes so hard. And even this on its own, even if you weren't playing Fiendsmith, can just get you into like an Unchained board as well. Yeah, these cards are all pretty self-explanatory. So we'll just get into, obviously, the Fiendsmith portion of the deck. So with, like, the Fiendsmith cards, I was playing 2 Tract at the last tournament that I went to, but I have decided to cut it, and I've got this here, just because I'm not playing this card at the moment, but this is something that I want to talk about. Obviously, these cards need no introduction, but Sanct is a really interesting card in this deck in particular, because it helps you play through Droll, because if you start off with Engraver, you can and you get Drolled if you get this, you can pretty much still do full combo, because you're not really like adding any cards, even if you bridge into your Yubel engine. And then this card's downside with it being you can only attack into Fiends, and obviously it's one less name in the grave. It doesn't hold you back as much in this deck. But it's enough for me to warrant considering, and I think as well, if you're on a bit of a budget, you can just cut these cards and play this as your Fiendsmith package, because like I say, this is the smallest package I think you can play to get a Caesar and not mitigate the Engraver being a brick. I did see Jesse Cotton play this in one of his lists, so yeah, that's the Fiendsmith cards. And then we'll just go into some spells, Nightmare Throne and Opening the Spirit Gates. These are all just 1 card combos. Nightmare Throne is so good. There's just not enough good things to say. Spirit Gates, again, just an incredible card. There's obviously there's the Reborn effect, which is really good, and then obviously the adding back as well to recycle Nightmare Pains. One thing that I think did kind of push this deck out, and I'll talk about it while we've got these field spells and continuous spells up. We'll just put Nightmare Pain here as well. Obviously, Detonator is like one of the biggest cards and one of the biggest boss monsters right now, and this deck plays really hard going second into Detonator, because a lot of its 1 card starters that aren't monsters need to just stick on the board. And I think it's for that reason alone that, like, unfortunately, at this moment in time, I don't think you can play this deck without the Fiendsmith engine, just because that gives you that level of extension, and he's able to, like, help bait out the Detonators and things like that. But against all the other decks, like, where they're not playing Detonator, like, these are still as powerful as they always have ever been. And then just for some more 1 card starters, one for 1 and Terraforming. Just you all know what these cards do. And then just the 1 Unchained Trap. I play Escape because Abominable is just not as good as it used to be. I know that Bestials aren't seeing as much play, but you know that the chamber does still play into Bestials. And this being the extra sort of interruption that you get even when you end on the Rage, and then there's the Yama recycling it and you're getting your ad back as well for like a Spirit of Yubel or something. Yeah, I think this is always just been going to be the best one in my opinion. And then just for the non-engine, so we are playing a 45 card main deck. It's 45 with the one tracked Sanctum in the list to talk about it. I decided to main both of the Mulchamis, just because, like I mentioned, this deck has a really hard Ryziel matchup, and obviously Perulia is like really incredible going into Ryziel because you can either like draw 5 cards or you just shut their turn down completely. And with this non-engine as well, the way that Yubel combos is so like explosive that if you go uninterrupted, you will just win. So you want cards that are going to be as impactful as possible going second. Ash is in here. I know it's not incredible going second, but this deck hard loses to Mulchamis, which is another reason why it's kind of fallen off a little bit. So you have to play Ash. I'd even probably consider maining Call by the Grave over the Talents, maybe, to be honest. But Call by is in the side. This is obviously all up to personal preference. You can play whatever it is you like. If you want to get the engine closer down to 40, you can consider cutting the Perulia. And then going into the extra deck, this card is just so good. I remember when it was a 3 and it was just the most unfair thing, just being able to make one, negate a Nibiru, and then just use it as link material. It's only at 1 now, but to be honest, 1's still all you need, because it's either Nib Insulation or it's part of the M piece. And then just Desiree, Aerial Eater, and Necroquip for the Fiendsmith portion of it. Aerial Eater is one of the reasons why Fiendsmith cards are so good with this deck, because if you start an Engraver and like nothing else, you can make Sequence, make Aerial Eater, dump the Lotus or the Spirit of Yubel, and then you just make Muckracker and revive it, and you've bridged into your engine from there. And then for Xyzes, we've just got Verudrus and White High Wave King, pretty standard stuff. I do always try and incorporate this into my end board because there's not that many Omni-Negates at the moment, and this being like not only just one of the most generic that you can make, but also just one of the most powerful, because a lot of people do forget about like when it's removed from the field, like you get a pop as well, and the attack, non-target, and destruction at the start of the damage step. Just an incredible card, really, to be honest. And Wave King is just Wave King. And then for the Unchained links, we'll put Little Knight here because it's always what you're making off Rage. I am playing Anguish just for a bit more utility going second. This is definitely the flex spot of the extra deck. You could play like a Typhon, a Chaos Angel, whatever else it is you wanted to. But I just really, like I say, if I wasn't in a position where I was able to OTK, you can make the Anguish, link something off into Rage, and then you've got a little bit more setup for the next turn. And then, you know, Little Knight and Yama, they don't need to be explained. Yama's one of the best cards like it's ever been printed for Fiend support. It's just so good. I'd even like to play 2, but yeah, that's something else you could do. Then just some more Fiendsmith links. Muckracker. I have a very love-hate relationship with this card because I always find it never comes up, and then I cut it, and then it always comes up. So I've just decided to resign myself to the fact that it is just going to be in the extra deck. And I think that, yeah, it just, with the Fiendsmith bridging as well, it just becomes a lot more important. And then for the last 2 cards, we've got the Requiem and the Almirage, because link ones are very good. Side deck is a bit sort of like copy and paste for the format at the moment. So yeah, just, you know, your auto win cards for Lancia, your auto win cards for Malice, just because Mitsurugi and Droll and Rogue and all that rubbish. Harpies, Call By, and Cross Out. Going first, like you always side these in. And then you just leave in like 1 Nibiru or 1 Furlos and 1 Perulia, because this deck does, and sometimes I even do side in a Meows going first, which seems really bad because Cross Out is only at 1, but the fact of the matter is this deck hard loses to every single Mulchami, so you have to just do what you can to stop that. And then just 3 Judgment, just, yeah, going first stuff. So that is it for the deck. Like I say, this is one of my favourite decks of all time, and it's a very rare commodity because it's a GX deck that's actually good. Obviously, I do think it's quite a complicated deck to play. It's one of the decks that I feel the most comfortable with because I've been playing it ever since it came out through all its different like variants and stuff. But I do think it is a slept-on deck. It's what I'm going to be playing for the rest of the format going forward. So yeah, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.